caught in the worst way possible. When I came out of the shower, my husband was reading text, WAP.
Husband was reading the text from my affair while I was taking a shower. When I opened the door, "Hey there, the mini community of Reddit. My name is Katrina, 33 and married to Neville, 37 for 4 years. I am here to share how my husband came to know about my affair and what he did after that. I am not here for people to judge my actions and tell me that I deserved it because I was the one who cheated. To start off, I met Neville when I was in the middle of changing jobs. He was the one who interviewed and rejected me for one of the jobs I had applied for. I was already pissed off at him and was sitting in the food court thinking about my next interview when he walked towards me and offered me a coffee. I thought that he was trying to rub it in my face that I was not good enough for the position that I had applied, but he helped me with tips on how I should give my next interview. I found that to be sweet and kind. With his help, I was able to get a job at a different place and started working. I was so dumb that I didn't even ask for his number to thank him for his help. Looking back, I realized that his gesture was not meant to belittle me, but rather to offer support and guidance. It's a shame that I didn't have his number to call and express my gratitude. I didn't have to wait too long as I met him at one of a corporate event for companies around the city. It was a 2-day event where they organized games and activities for people from the same profession to get to know each other. I spent a lot of time catching up with Neville and thanking him for his insights, which helped me get a job. I also took the opportunity to apologize for not staying in touch and express my regret for not acknowledging his guidance earlier. Neville was gracious and understanding, assuring me that he was happy to see my success and that he understood how busy life can get. We exchanged contact information and made a promise to stay connected moving forward. We started talking and very soon we fell in love. Maybe it was because we could relate to our work that pulled us towards each other. Within a span of 8 months, we decided to get married. We did not have time for our honeymoon, so we decided to have it during our Christmas break. We were both busy with our jobs, and it was not a big deal to go on a honeymoon immediately after getting married. Neville was promoted 2 years after we were married. After his promotion, Neville had become like a completely different person. He was so obsessed with work that he hardly spent time at home. When he was home, he barely slept and was on his laptop continuously typing at a non-human speed and kept yelling at his associates. It was freaking me the hell out. I told him that he was dangerously obsessed with his job and it was becoming addictive. We started having fights around his work as it had now slowly crawled into the bedroom. Neville's obsession with work not only affected our relationship, but also his physical and mental health. It was clear that his job had taken complete control over his life, leaving little room for anything else. I became increasingly concerned about the toll it was taking on him and our relationship. I did not know what to do and started distancing myself from Neville. I was not even interested in having a conversation with him anymore. One of the guys at my office had always had a crush on me and would always try to make a pass at me. I was so frustrated with life that I decided to accept his advances since I started feeling as if I live alone and am not even married. I did not try to ignore him and gave him a smile as I passed him. However, deep down, I knew that using someone else to fill the void in my relationship with Neville was not the solution. As much as I craved attention and companionship, I needed to confront my feelings and address the issues within my relationship before making any impulsive decisions. The affair between me and Jack has been going strong for the past 1 year. I never had so much fun in my life after getting married. It felt as if I had wasted 4 years of my life with Neville. All I could find in the last 4 years was boring conversations about work and economics with little to no fun. We never went out to parties or to get together or even on dates. I was living a very sad life before I met Jack. But with Jack, everything changed. He brought excitement and adventure back into my life. We would go on spontaneous road trips, try new restaurants, and dance the night away at clubs. It was like a breath of fresh air after suffocating in a dull and monotonous marriage. I finally felt alive again, experiencing joy and laughter that had been absent for far too long. Recently, I noticed that Neville had suddenly been trying to make time for me and make time to have conversations with me. I was surprised as to this sudden change in his behavior. I did not know what got into him recently. He asked me if we could go out on a date on the weekend. Of course, I had plans with Jack, but I wasn't going to let him know about it. I agreed to go on a date with Neville as I did not want him to be suspicious of me and Jack. After the date, Neville started making plans of where we could go out on a holiday, and spend some time alone with each other. It was getting difficult for me and Jack to spend time with each other, as I was being occupied by Neville almost every weekend. Jack and I decided to meet in the middle of the week in case Neville made plans for the weekend. I texted Neville that I had a meeting outside of the city as I didn't want to talk to him. He had gotten very clingy and annoying. I booked the hotel far from the city to make sure that we did not cross paths with Neville or anyone we knew. We made sure that we drove in separate cars just in case we got spotted by someone. We spent the entire day together lazing around and making love to each other. It had been so long that we did not get to see each other privately. I came home after spending my day with Jack. To my surprise, Neville was already home and was waiting for me. I told him that I was so tired that I would like to have a leisurely shower to help me relax after such a tiring day. He smiled at me and told me that I looked very stressed and deserved to pamper myself. I kissed him and went into the bathroom to enjoy my shower. When I came out, I saw him with my phone reading something very intently. I came closer and noticed that he was reading the chat between me and Jack. I was shocked to see how he was even able to get into my phone. I was pretty sure that I changed the password and was positive that it was impossible for him to crack it. I knew that he had his doubts about me cheating, so I was taking extra care of being cautious. And Neville looked at me and gave me a smile, telling me that he has never read such passionate messages being exchanged between two people ever. He said that he could clearly see the passion and desire for each other flowing through the conversations. I couldn't make out if he was being sarcastic or truthful about it. He did not look surprised or upset about the chats or the fact that I was cheating on him. I wasn't sure if he already knew about it, and that was the reason he was trying to be nice to me, just to check if his speculations were right, or he was just trying to accuse me of something without any proof. I was still in my bathrobe, so I decided to sway him by seducing him with my body and see if it works. He looked at me with an expression which could easily be translated to, "Are you being serious right now?" He told me that he understood why I did what I did. He agreed that he did not fulfill his duties as a husband, and that was the reason why I had to take this step to find a guy outside of marriage. I was surprised by the amount of composure he was maintaining while having this conversation, because in my head I definitely did not imagine it to go this way when Neville would come to know about my affair. It was a welcome change, and I was very glad that he was not screaming at the top of his lungs accusing me for what I did. He told me that he was not angry or upset and wanted me to take my own sweet time to get ready. He also told me that he had no problem with me continuing my affair with Jack, as he knew that he was the one at fault and it would not be right on my part to ditch Jack just because Neville has now made himself available for me. Oh my God, where was this guy? I mean, if I knew that Neville would be so understanding about this situation and completely take the blame for being unavailable, then I would have had an affair earlier and not have lived so miserably like I did. I thanked Neville for being so understanding and told him that he would not regret being married to me, as tonight would be the best nights of our lives. I went into my vanity to search for my best lingerie to make sure that tonight would be the perfect night of lovemaking for me and Neville. As I was getting ready, the thought of Neville having my phone did cross my mind. But I shut it out because he was already aware of the affair, and the way he reacted did not seem like it really bothered him reading intimate messages between me and Jack. I left him to it, and somewhere I also had a naughty thought that maybe reading those messages might give him a few ideas about how to have some fun. I was giggling and laughing to myself, unaware of the events happening outside of the vanity room. It took me a good 40 minutes to make sure that I looked perfect. When I walked into the room, it was all dark, so I just assumed that Neville wanted to try something romantic. As I kept calling out his name, I couldn't hear the reply, so I grabbed the lights and noticed that Neville was nowhere to be seen. My phone kept buzzing continuously, and there were notifications from everybody at work, so I decided to check what the big deal was all about. I went onto my office application and saw people gossiping and commenting about someone's personal life. I decided to ignore it, as I knew the people in my office had no work but to keep commenting on unnecessary and illogical things. I saw that I had a few messages from Jack as well, but I decided that I would read them later and look for Neville. I searched the entire house but couldn't find him anywhere. I assumed that he might have gone out to get a few condoms. Since I had a little free time, I decided to respond to Jack and let them know that Neville will have no problems with our affair going forward. Maybe I could even call him home a few times. As I read Jack's messages, the blood drained from my face. He was literally abusing me in his messages and asking me why I would post pictures of him and me on the office forum. He said that not only pictures, I had also posted chats where we were discussing the same people from our office and calling them names. I could not believe him and kept free reading his messages over and over. I quickly went to the office forum and started scrolling to check for myself, and there it was. A clear picture of me and Jack smiling and naked, and below that there were chats mentioning our colleagues and all the nasty things that we discussed about. I needed to know that Neville, who tried to act all calm and made sure that I was busy so that he could post all of this and keep me occupied so that I would not respond to it immediately. He was such a cunning man. I am sitting in my room still wearing my bathrobe and writing this as I'm not very sure what to do. Jack would not take my calls and he blocked me after I kept calling him to explain what had happened. Neville just took off without a single word after creating all this mess for me to clear up. I understand that me having an affair was something that I did wrong, but what Neville did was equally wrong. So I turned to you people from Reddit to help me with any suggestions on how I can come out of this situation. Please let me know how to deal with all the shame that I will have to face, since everybody in my office already knows about my affair and what I think about them. I am truly thankful to everyone who has been a part of this journey with me. I know that this is not the end and the struggle has just begun. I will make sure to keep you guys posted on this when I am able to so that you guys know what happens to me after all this. Thank you for taking the time to read. Update. Thank you all the people for sharing their advice and giving me suggestions as to how to go forward with the situation I am in. I'm very happy for all of you for not judging me and blaming me for my actions and giving me genuine advice. To start from where we had left off, after my affair was revealed on the office forum, I did not have much of a choice, so I decided to lie low for a while till the topic died down and then go to office. I had to call my manager asking for a leave, and I could see that he was visibly unhappy about granting me a week away from work. He tried to ask me about the pictures and the chats, but before he could, I hung up. I tried calling Neville, as I at least wanted a confrontation from his end. It kept going to voicemail, which made me more and more frustrated about the situation I was in. Of course, none of my colleagues wanted to have anything to do with me, so they maintained their distance, which was understandable. I'm pretty sure I would have done the same if something like this happened to someone I knew at work. After a week of lazing around at home, trying to get in touch with either Never or Jack, and being unsuccessful, I decided that I could not hide in my house forever. I finally decided to go to work and wore the most subtle clothes that I could find and made my way into the lobby. I was aware of all the unrequired glances and whispers thrown my way, but I knew that there was no point in thinking about all this, so I put my head down and started walking straight towards my seat. One of my colleagues came up to me and asked me if it was true. I was taken aback by these upfront acquisitions, so I blurted out the first thought that came in. I told her that of course there were fake pictures probably created by some stupid application. So she then asked me what I was doing on that application, making naked pictures off me and Jack. I forgot that all of this was posted from my phone. That would still not explain the chats. I realized that I was being too stupid trying to cover it up, as there was no way people would believe that all of this was fake or that my phone was hacked. I was called in by my manager and asked me to resign graciously or they would have to kick me out. Since it was a question of the reputation of the firm, I was forced to resign, and just like that, I became jobless. I was furious when I drove home. Now I had no husband, no affair, no friends, and no job. What more could possibly go wrong in my life? I wish I hadn't said it out loud. As I was parking my car, I saw that the front yard was all messed up. I quickly ran inside as the door was wide open. There was a strong smell so bad that I could hardly breathe. I could see that was some weird black substance coated on all the walls. I couldn't make out what it was, but it smelled horrible. I picked up a baseball bat just to be careful in case there was someone still inside. I held my breath and slowly made my way towards the bedroom. I didn't know if it was the smell or the room, but it was much more disgusting. The walls were, of course, horrible, but the bed was filled with poop. There was a message written with that black substance on the mirror which said, "Happy cleaning." I instantly knew that it was Neville. I hoped that he would have left the bathroom alone, but of course not. This had something else, and it was of a different color and smelled very funny. So now I don't even have a place to go to the washroom. Great, my life has been on a roller coaster ride for the last 2 weeks. I decided that I should start cleaning the bathroom since I needed some place to relieve myself. I knew that calling the cleaners would cost me a fortune, and I just became jobless 2 hours ago. As I started cleaning, my eyes started getting irritated, and I felt itching all over my body. I decided to ignore it and continue, but after another 10 minutes, I just couldn't control scratching myself. I decided to take a break, but I just couldn't stop my tears, and I noticed there were rashes all over my hands and legs. I tried to check my face and remove any pus right off, and maybe I passed out as I don't remember anything after that. I woke up in a hospital bed and was told that I would have to stay there for another 2 weeks till they monitor my condition. They told me that I was exposed to toxins, which led to a severe skin allergy. If the neighbors wouldn't have complained about the smell, I would have probably died in my house. Well, it was good to have nosy neighbors once in a while. I was discharged, and it took me almost a month to recover from the allergic reaction on my skin. I was still on medication, and my skin was still noticeably gross to look at. In hindsight, I kept wondering if I should have taken a picture of the mirror to file a lawsuit against Neville for trying to kill me. I went home to a shabby-looking place and decided to leave after packing up my things. I opened the wardrobe and saw that there was nothing in there except my clothes. I did not have the time or energy to deal with it, so I just picked up my clothes and took off. I didn't know where to go, but I knew that it had to be somewhere far where Neville wouldn't be able to find me. I was certain that he was trying to kill me for cheating on him. I started my car and drove off without a destination in mind, and once I was out of the city and realized that it was safe now to make a stop. I stayed at the motel on the highway and changed my clothes to go out to eat something. I was sneezing every 2 seconds. It was a little concerning, but maybe because I was in the hospital for too long. Now that I was just breathing all the polluted air and out in that open, which was causing me to sneeze. I went to a diner nearby and ordered myself a sandwich. My sneezes were growing out of control and everybody kept staring at me. Awkward. I decided to take the sandwich and leave, but before I could do that, I couldn't breathe and I fell unconscious. This was the second time I was waking up in a hospital within a month without knowing what had happened. I was told that the clothes I was wearing had cat fur on them, which I was allergic to. It took them almost 2 weeks to figure out what it was. Since I was previously admitted for an allergy, it would be more difficult for me to recover from this. There was only one person who would have known about my allergy to cats and also have access to my clothes. I was scared to death, to say the least. Neville was trying to use everything he knew about me against me. It was scary just to think about it. I decided to write a long, heartfelt email to Neville to apologize and ask him to stop as I got his message. I would never do anything to betray him and stay away from his life if he would promise me that he would leave me alone. I just hoped that he would stop now and let me live in peace. I dozed off, and when I woke up, the nurse told me that there was someone who came to visit. They left me flowers and a letter. I was too scared to even touch them, as they could be something I should be wary of. I held the letter with the tissue and sanitized it before I even touched it. It read, "I accept your apology and I hope you get well soon." I breathed a sigh of relief as I knew that it was over now. I am still in the hospital, recovering. I'm writing this update because I am bored and also to let you guys know about everything that happened after Neville left me. I know it was one hell of a ride, but it's all over now. I have learned not to mess with the silent ones as they make your life threateningly dangerous. I don't want to work things out and would never or even try to live in the same house with him. Once I get out of the hospital, I'm probably changing cities and staying as far away from Neville as possible. Thank you all for being such good people and being there for me. I hope you learn something from my story and make wise decisions. My so-called husband is planning on ruining my life for a very small mistake I made. I don't know why he thinks it's okay to do what he's planning to do. Yes, I cheated on him, but I guess it was going to happen one way or another. He's a mommy's boy, and this is just me putting it mildly. I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had to give in to the temptation that kept on coming up. He should feel glad that I waited so long to cheat on his sorry self. That man had it coming one day or another, and he shouldn't even try to make it seem like he's surprised. You don't marry a woman, then suddenly try to change her. It's not your place, and it can never be your place to do that. I'm my own person, and he was very well aware of this before we got married. We had no prior conversation that stated I wasn't good enough, or I had to be someone else to please him and his annoying family. So why did everything suddenly get thrown on me? My name is Anastasia, and I'm a 24-year-old dancer. Yes, I'm a dancer, and it's something I love doing. I make money from it, and I'm also a choreographer, so I get gigs to teach people how to dance. But as it seems right now, my husband is using that against me and wants to get me fired. I think it's better to say that he's been using this fact against me for a very long time. According to him, I'm just too exposed to a lot of men. The name of my husband is Collins, and he's a 28-year-old banker. You guys see the difference, right? He's a banker, and I'm a dancer. Of course, we have different professions, and it can be very difficult to be a couple, but somehow we made it work, and we got married. What's making me more upset is the fact that we met while I was working at a party he was invited to. He literally spotted me while I was working, and now he's trying to say my job is bad. We exchanged numbers the first day we met, but none of us contacted each other for almost 5 months after exchanging numbers. I didn't know his age range back then because we hardly said much during the party. I actually thought he was my age mate because he looked like me in some kind of way. Fast forward to the day we finally contacted each other. Well, he contacted me first and asked me out on a date. I was less busy and decided to go. I didn't expect us to connect the way we did, and boom, after 2 years, we got married. I was 23 when we got married, and we've been married for just a year. I was just 23 years old when I got married. Of course, I'm still in my youth, and I'm not the most mature person. In fact, I never claimed to be mature. Was I ready for marriage before I got married? Well, I don't really know the answer to that question. I liked Collins a lot, and that's the only word I'm going to use. I don't know if love is the right word to use in this situation. I've never been in love, and I've never fallen for someone in my entire life. It sounds unbelievable, but that's the truth. I've been in relationships, and I've dated a few people. I liked them a lot, and we spent a lot of time together. But it's never been to an extent where I feel like I'm madly in love with this person and cannot wait to spend my entire life with them. Maybe that's because I'm not an overly emotional person, or because I'm always focused on working and earning money. But with Collins, I decided to get married to him because I felt like he was the most stable man if ever dated. Before, I just dated other dancers or artists because those were the kind of people I was mostly around. It was never because I preferred a certain profession. So when I met Collins, I just believed that he was the right man for me because he seemed like the serious type. I also liked the fact that he was a banker. I mean, dating a banker is far better than dating a dancer or an artist. Most artists are not ready to settle down. I felt like I was ready to get married, but I wasn't sure of it. But when I realized Collins was also ready to get married, I felt like it was for the best. So I said yes when he proposed, and then we tied the knot. I've always wanted to be that girl with a stable life. I've never really liked traveling many times as a result of work, but it's what I love doing and I can't stop. Even though I need to keep in shape everything because of my job, I told Collins I was ready to start a family with him 2 years into our marriage. That was the plan, and he didn't have any problem with it. Did I meet his annoying family before we got married? Of course, I met his whole family a total of 4 times before we tied the knot. They were well behaved throughout, and they never gave me any reason to feel like I was marrying into the wrong family. But 2 weeks after the wedding, it was war. Yes, war. And this isn't me exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating at all, and I don't think anyone else can understand my plight. Collins comes from a very big family. When I say big family, I mean that he has several siblings and cousins. His house is almost like an extended family because almost all his relatives, both married and single, live there. If you're wondering why that's the case, it's because his father was once a very rich man and he built a very exaggerated house. The house is actually quite big, and it has other houses in the property. According to what I was told, he got addicted to gambling and lost all the money within 2 years. Well, I don't know how true the story is, but this is what Collins told me. His father is late now. I heard he died in a car accident one night after drunk driving. So, after his death, most family members decided it was a good idea to move into the house because they felt it was very big and it could save all of them the cost of rent. Now guys, I know you all are wondering how this has anything to do with the story, but trust me, it does. After the marriage, Collins asked me to follow him to his family house for their annual meeting, and I decided to follow him because, of course, I'm his wife and I should support him in situations like that. But I regretted the decision immediately when I got the family house, because I realized that they were just a big hurdle filled with bullies and people that talked down on other people just to make themselves feel better. I didn't get why everyone felt like it was right to comment on my body and tell me that I had to change. The fact that I was a dancer suddenly became a problem, and his mother made a very big fuss about it when I visited them during the annual meeting with Collins. She kept rubbing it in my face and telling me that dancing was not a real profession, and that I was just wasting my time and ruining my life because it was not a real profession, and it exposed me to a lot of unpalatable things. I had to ask her why my profession was suddenly a problem after the marriage, and why she didn't tell me everything before the marriage. That's when I discovered that Collins did not tell them I was a dancer before the marriage. He actually told them that I was a nurse and that I was a graduate of one big school like that. I was so surprised and angry that I didn't even know what to do with myself. I couldn't believe that Collins would lie about my profession and paint me out to be someone I was not. It was even more ridiculous that he had to hide my true profession from his family before they thought I was fit to be his wife. Another stupid thing is the fact that Collins was ashamed of telling his family that I was a dancer. I pulled him to the side and I asked him why he had to lie to his family and make it seem like I was a nurse when I was just a dancer. I'm a dancer and I'm proud of it. I've never been ashamed of what I do, and I don't think there's a reason for me to be ashamed of something that gives me money. I earned my satisfaction and I didn't beg from anyone or ask anyone to give me money. I would rather be a dancer than be roaming on the streets. The fact that his family thought they were better than me for some reason was just funny. They are the ones squatting with each other and living in a house that they didn't even build. They are basically jobless with nothing serious to do, and they are squatting together to save rent, yet they feel like they could dictate what profession I was into. If I had been getting judged by a multi-career family with several people in different fields that were actually successful in what they did and made a good living out of it, I would have actually felt bad. But I was getting judged by a family that couldn't even afford to stay on their own. What hurt me most was the fact that Collins just sat there and let them speak ill of me. So, when I call him foolish, don't judge me for it. Every decision he makes has to be dictated by his mother. If I knew I was getting married to a mummy's boy, I would have ran as far as my legs could carry me. He was so indecisive and quiet. I mean, how do you sit down in front of your family, then let them say whatever they want about your wife? How do you not say anything to defend her or make her feel better? It was like he made them believe I was a nurse so I wouldn't get quizzed by them and run away. Then, when he finally married me, he brought me to his house so they could charge me and make me get another job. I know some goody two-shoes women would try to tell me I should have just quit my job, but I'll say this ahead of time. I don't want any advice from those kinds of women because it just never makes sense. You met me as a dancer, then your entitled foolish self wants to change me after we tied the knot? If I quit working and stay at home to be your perfect wife just to shut you up, in less than 2 years, you'd still be the same man telling me I was feeding off your money and bringing nothing to the table. How ironic is that, and why would I want to be in that kind of situation? If I'd quit my job, Collins and his family would still try to talk down on me and make me feel like crap. So I made sure I didn't make such mistakes or get myself in such a compromising situation. It was just not something I was willing to do. When we got home that day after the annual family meeting, I was so angry that I didn't try to contain my anger or hide how I felt inside. I had to ask Collins why he thought it was right to sit silently at a gathering where my character was being butchered. No excuse. He had no excuse and couldn't come up with anything but the fact that he saw some truth in what they were saying. Yes, he says that to me. I don't even know why I married a banker. Maybe the artists I used to date were not ready to settle down, but at least they defended me in situations that were insulting. They never stood back and watched me get my character assassinated for something as trivial as being a dancer. That day, we had a very long argument, and I made it clear to Collins that I would not be changing my job or quitting it. I told him that I would remain a dancer, and there was absolutely nothing he could do about it. After that day, it was like I unleashed a beast in Collins. He became his family's puppet, and they tried to frustrate me together. He suddenly got upset with visiting his family and asking me to accompany him because he just wanted to see them talk ill of me and make me feel bad about myself. When I realized what he was trying to do, I decided to quit following him to his family house. I stopped accompanying him and told him he could go alone. He tried to make me feel like I was being unsupportive, but I rubbed it in his face and told him I didn't care. I finally got my peace of mind after I stopped going to his family house. I decided to spend more time at work instead of just sitting back at home and doing nothing in particular. I got a lot of gigs and shows that I had to work on. It was very fulfilling for me because after my wedding, my boss decided to give me fewer jobs because he felt like I would need to spend more time with my husband. But I guess he noticed that I wasn't really feeling the honeymoon bliss anymore, and he decided to get me back to work. More people had joined our dance team, and they were mostly guys. Yes, you read that right. I saw a pit of guys in our dance team, and it was quite surprising. Most of them looked more attractive than they should, and I actually anticipated going to work a lot. Yes, judge me for saying I found a few guys attractive. Well, that's the truth. I'm married and not blind, and so I don't think it's wrong for me to say what I see. They were very nice, and they always tried to come to me to ask me about the team since I worked longer than they did. I preferred speaking to them because I literally had a nagging husband and his jobless family waiting for me after work each day. I actually started regretting the fact that I got married as early as I did. I regretted it, and I still regret it. It's not something I'm scared of admitting because it's the absolute truth. When Collins noticed that I stopped going to see his family with him, he decided to bring his family to the house. I'm even getting angry just by recounting exactly what happened. I came back from work one day only to find that his sister, mother, and 2 of his cousins were at the house. Yes, you read that right, and it's actually true. They were at my house, and I was very surprised. I mean, it's not every day that you see something like that. I'd never brought anyone of my family members to the house before, and he's aware of it. There's never been a time when I tried to do that to him. I couldn't believe that he brought 4 people home without speaking to me first. Okay, I get that he's the owner of the house, but it only makes sense that he just tells me ahead of time even though he's not meant to ask for permission. After a stressful day at work, I came home to a very big bag of crap. Those people have to be the perfect definition of shameless people walking the surface of the earth. I couldn't even stay in the living room and watch TV without them bringing up discussions about my own body and how I was too thin. I hate his family. I hate them with an intense amount of passion. I don't care what anyone says because it is what it is. Collins, on the other hand, just sat there like he couldn't see what was going on. How do you expect me not to cheat on that kind of guy? A man that doesn't have a say on his own and only does things that his family asks him to do. That's the kind of man Collins is, and I was just not ready to take in any of their crap. I went to sleep in the room and waited for Collins so we could have a conversation, but he never came to the room. He spent the whole night entertaining his family, and I know this because I couldn't even get a wink of sleep as a result of the unnecessary noise they were all making. I tried to shake them off and get to sleep, but nothing that I tried worked. He preferred to spend the whole night whispering and laughing with his family rather than coming to the room to see his wife. I hadn't even started cheating on him back then, but can you guys see how foolish he was? Who wants to stay married to a mommy's boy? If you have seen the worst part of it, just listen to this. One day, while his mother, sister, and siblings were still at the house, something very annoying happened. I came back home after a stressful day at work only to be met by his annoying cousins, mother and sister. His mother told me she wanted to have a serious conversation with me. Of course, I innocently thought it was okay to sit down with her and talk. Maybe it was as a result of the stress at work, but I completely forgot that they hated me. At the end of the day, she ended up asking me why I was not pregnant yet. A go asks a woman why she isn't pregnant yet. She told me her son was not getting any younger and should already be a father. Well, I had to ask her why her son didn't get married earlier in his life to have a child, and why she wanted to make me the baby-making machine. I mean, I'm literally just 24 years old. I'm not saying I'm too young to have children, but I'm trying to say it doesn't make sense that I have to rush into things just because my husband is 4 years older than me. Besides, Collins and I already agreed ahead of time that we were not going to have children until we completed our 2 years anniversary. I spoke to Collins about what his mother says, and he told me he also wanted children and couldn't wait so long to have children. I told him I didn't want children yet, so there was no way I was going to get pressured into having children. It was a continuous back and forth, and I got tired of the problems in the marriage. But I made no move to fix any of those problems because I just didn't believe that they had anything to do with me. If anything, I'd always tried my best to manage his family, but they are so rude and annoying. Collins is a whole different story, and I just got fed up. So what did I do? I cheated. Why? Because I wanted to, and because I felt like I was married to a baby. I was tired of the marriage, but didn't have the guts to ask for a divorce, because I didn't want to end up homeless yet. I wanted to keep working and earn enough money to get my own apartment. I had a lot saved up before, but after I got married to Collins, I spent recklessly because he's a banker and earned enough money. I wasn't paying rent like I did before, and I wasn't paying the bills, so I bought a lot of expensive things. I only started saving when I realized my marriage to Collins was headed for doom. So one of the guts in the dance team is my affair partner, and we hit things off after months of being friends. We slept together 2 nights after my 1-year wedding anniversary, and we have been together ever since. But I never thought Collins would end up finding out. Apparently, one of his nosy sisters decided to follow me to my dance studio, and she saw me kissing my affair partner outside the dance studio. My boss is aware of the relationship, but it's not his business, so he kept quiet. But Collins's nosy sister took a picture and sent it to Collins. I got home 2 days ago, and Collins decided to give me the scare of my life. The house was scattered and almost everything looked broken. He was so angry that he kept cursing and screaming all sorts of degrading words. I thought that would be all, but he sent me out of the house yesterday and burnt all my sneakers. He threw my things outside and locked me out. I'm staying at my affair partner's place now, but Collins is still after my peace. I heard from someone that he's planning to get me fired and humiliate me. I don't get why he even cares so much. He made the bed and I just slept on it. It's his fault as much as it's mine. But wanting to get me fired? It's just too much. Update. I'm now jobless, and it's all thanks to Collins. He wasn't joking when he promised to ruin my life. It's been 6 months, and I've witnessed hell, literally. Even after he sent me divorce papers 2 weeks later and I signed it, he made sure he got me fired. I never thought my boss would fire me, and I was so confident, but I don't know what deal Collins striked with him that made him fire me. I trusted my boss so much because I've worked with him for so long, and I still can't believe he fired me. Collins also hired some thugs to threaten my affair partner and tell him lies about me. He sent me out of the house 2 months after my divorce with Collins was finalized. I was living off the little I'd saved up and put all my hopes in getting spousal support. But I just discovered that I would not be getting any spousal support anytime soon. Apparently, our marriage was just 1 year, and I worked and earned enough to be independent and was not very reliant on him. My lawyer tried his best, but we had to settle for very little. Now, Collins has 6 months before he gets to pay me the little spousal support. I'm broke till then. Collins really did switch things up to ruin my life. The mommy's boy decided to teach me a lesson, and here I am, single and broke with no job. It definitely hurts.